Hello journaling friends, welcome to my quiet and cozy little space. Today I'm going to do a flip through of my Hobonichi Cousin for the month of March. Although I sit down at my desk every single day and get into one of my journals in some kind of capacity, I didn't really spend a lot of time in my Hobonichi Cousin each day. And so I did have to go back, well I didn't have to, but I decided to go back and kind of backfill, I guess, like well into April. And actually even the last couple of days I was still, filling in some little spots on pages that I felt weren't like fully complete yet. As you know, if you have been here before, I do like to heavily decorate most of my pages, not all of them. So I find I do go back and still decorate and fill in, empty spaces on pages well after the initial decorating, I guess. So it's currently nearing the end of May. It is officially autumn in Australia. I am trying to, I guess, lean into the fact that the weather has really turned. In saying that, it is 25 degrees today and very sunny, but I still have a long sleeve top on and I even have a heat pack on my legs because I run cold. So yeah, it's why I love summer, I think, because I like the heat. I just feel way more comfortable when it's hot than when it's cold. I know I'm an anomaly, is that the right word? I'm quite unusual, I guess you could say, in that I don't know a lot of people that really love the heat like I do. So anyway, I'm trying to embrace autumn. Again, I can't complain. Our autumn and even our winter is so mild here. We still get really sunny days, really blue skies with, a little bit of rain dotted in there. But yeah, so March was, although it was officially autumn, it was still really quite warm for the first couple of weeks of March. And then it's flipped really quite quickly now into the cooler weather. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to be complaining, I promise. Anyway, the front of my journal I don't think has changed since my last flip through. Actually, I don't know if I've made any changes. I'm pretty sure I haven't actually touched any of the first few pages. Oh, I love this sticker so much. How cute is it? And of course my beautiful print from my pen pal Laura. So for March, on the monthly spread, I just decorated as I normally do with Japanese ephemera. I've got my little paper message daily tear off pages. I can't waste them, they're all so lovely, just the colours and the illustrations. I've got some Mormin washi tape. If you've been here before, you'd know that I do pop in some little reminders on some days, more so in my weekly and daily pages, but also sometimes on my monthly pages. Got some washi tape and stickers that I've received from friends and pen pals, and produce stickers, which I got the idea from Laura to pop them in my journal, so that's fun. And then we go to our weekly pages. So for March, I just did what I normally do and stuck down whatever I felt like. A little bit of decoration here and there. I have started to try and draw some pictures with these acrylic markers I got from Artex, so I need a lot of practice. But anyway, that's, as I've mentioned before, something that I really want to do this year is practice drawing more. On this day, I noticed I had 2,200 subscribers on YouTube, which is wild to me. Thank you to each and every one of you here. I really appreciate you hanging out here. I love all of the comments that people make on my videos. As I've mentioned before, I do reply to each and every comment. Actually, this morning I sat down and replied to a few comments that I had previously read, but I wanted to sit down and properly read what they wrote and put together my response. So I did that this morning. So up until now, right now, I have replied to every single comment. So I appreciate you all for hanging out here with me. Zsuzsanna V Bryant printables, which are prominent throughout my whole journal. Some Hitotoki washi tape ephemera. So that's from the inside of the tape. You know how you get when you finish the roll. I don't know if you can see that. I always tear that inner sticker off because waste not, want not. Some little reminders of things that happened. And yeah, just bits and pieces. Zsuzsanna V Bryant again, I love their printables. Zoe, my pen pal and friend, sent me this adorable sticker that has a train on it and is also shaped like a stamp. And on the back they wrote a combination of two of my favourite things in stationery, trains and stamps. I didn't realise we had that in common. So yes, I also love trains and I also love stamp shaped stickers. So I had been keeping that, thinking that I want to stick it somewhere, like hoarding stickers. And yeah, I was just going through a pile of stuff and I thought, you know what, I want to put this in my journal so I can enjoy it. And now I love it because when I flip through here, which I do regularly, I get to enjoy it. It's so cute. Some Japanese ephemera, a stamp from my other pen pal, Desiree. Trying to draw a little mushroom. I actually found this lady on Instagram who does little tutorials on how to draw with watercolor and markers and all sorts, pencils. So yeah, I was sitting down one night and I had a bit of a play. I'm looking at that now and I can see how differently I could have done it. But anyway, that's got to be my motivation to practice more. I feel like what I see in my mind's eye and what ends up on paper is really mismatched. Like I can see it in my mind how I want it to look and then it just doesn't turn out that way. But I know that's just going to come down to practice, of course. At least I'm trying. This week we had all 35 and 36 degrees, honestly in my element. Well, I wrote here summer days, but obviously it was already autumn. Again, this was around the point that someone had mentioned it was autumn and I was like, no, don't leave me summer, but that's okay. It happens every single year. Just need to get over it. Price tag of some Japanese stationery, which I can't bear to throw away. Another really terrible attempt at drawing a cupcake. This was actually really late at night on the couch and the light, I only use lamps, like I don't use the overhead lights at all. And it was way too dark for my poor eyesight to see properly. So I ended up getting my book light and sticking that on the edge of my journal so I could see. But yeah, I need to organise a better lighting sitch when I practice drawing or painting. If I'm sitting at my desk, it's fine because I've got my canvas lamp and I put that right over the top of me so it lights up my whole desk. But yeah, sitting on the couch, it wasn't ideal. It was fun though. I just had the TV on, I had Big Bang Theory on and I was just, playing around with pencils and some markers and whatnot. Book I am enjoying now, last night at the Telegraph Club. Pretty sure I've mentioned this already. I had to borrow this book from the library about 3 or 4 times. Like I kept renewing it because I just wasn't getting through it. I started off really enjoying it and then about 2/3 of the way through, I started to lose interest. I think because it took me too long to read it. So then it was like, oh my gosh, this story is never ending. It was a nice enough read, but yeah, toward the end, I just wanted to finish it. Anyway, I was enjoying it at one point, yes. This is another daily flip calendar that I have by Kin Shiatani, and I love the little messages on there. Each page has some cute message, and often the messages kind of align with something I'm, doing or going through or working on at the time. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I really love the illustrations, and some of them have colour, some are just in black and white. My love of the sun shining through. That's it for the weekly pages. There's obviously a couple more days which I will show in my April flip through. On the first page, at the start of the month, I always just decorate it however I feel like doing at the time, and this was just going to be covered in pink stationery. All Japanese stationery, of course. Yes, goodbye for now, summer. I will miss you, definitely. I actually didn't do this on the day. I did it when someone had mentioned that it was autumn already. I came back and wrote that into kind of like my little farewell to summer for now. This day was Sunny's birthday. Sunny is a family dog and she was staying with us while her parents were out of town, and we celebrated her 2nd birthday. So my dog and I threw her a party. My cat was nowhere to be seen. He was just not interested at all, obviously. We sang happy birthday to her and I had a couple of little cute cakes for them. Sunny's cake, I put 2 candles on there because she was 2. She was turning 2. And I didn't like the candles, which was really clever in hindsight. I don't know why I would have thought to have even lit them, to be honest, and then have the cake on the floor. Because about 20 seconds in, I was actually videoing us, well, by us I mean me, singing Happy Birthday to Sunny. I'm sure my dog was singing it mentally. And yeah, 20 seconds in, Missy, my dog, starts shaking her head, and then her hat fell under her chin, you know, just like swung around. And then Sunny started walking forward and trod on her cake, which was fine. It was just, yeah, as I said, good that the candles weren't lit. Anyway, they had the best time eating their cakes, and I had a bit of a laugh at the antics and got it all on video for Sunny's parents. On this day, I've just documented this really lovely little comment that a viewer by the name of Anne sent me, and they wrote, "Thank you for providing such a soft and gentle place on the internet." It was so lovely reading that because, as I've mentioned before, that is exactly what I want for this space, you know, somewhere where like-minded people, you know, whether you're into stationery, journaling, or just crafts in general, can come together and, yeah, just chat about all the things that we enjoy. I do like that it might provide a soft and gentle place for someone, for you, hopefully. So that was really nice. Thank you, Anne. I think sometimes, I don't know, we can tend to not tell people things out of perhaps being a bit shy at, I don't know, just approaching someone and telling them things that we think. But if it's coming from a place of kindness, I think it's really important to share those kind of thoughts with others so that they know, because now I know that, you know, Anne thinks of this space like that, and that does bring me a lot of comfort. Trying to not worry too much if I have nothing to put on a day. So on this day, I just decorated the page with some green stationery. I actually bought these, it was a packet of like paper, and there were some stickers in there as well from Paper Message on one of my Japan trips. I want to say like 2 years ago. And I just found the little packet recently and realized there was all this nice colorful paper in there that I haven't been using. So I figured I could use it on this page. This is me obviously attempting to draw with the acrylic markers that I mentioned earlier. I love how Tomo River paper goes really crunchy, you know, when you use watercolor or acrylic markers on it. However, as I was practicing on this particular night, it was my first kind of real play with the acrylic markers, apart from when I did the swatching, which was me just scribbling and doodling. But to actually practice trying to draw, I realized I probably need to start on, you know, mixed media or watercolor paper to get a feel for how acrylic markers actually work on paper, if that makes sense. So I was watching a YouTube video of someone explaining or showing how to draw with acrylic markers. So that's what I was doing here. I was just sort of practicing. And to be fair, I did end up like drawing, you know, close to midnight, or it was until midnight when I realized I probably should get ready for bed. I was having so much fun with it. But yeah, that also included watching a few different videos to try and get a feel for, you know, how to use them properly, or how to get the most out of them, I should say. But yeah, I do have some watercolor paper, so I have been practicing on that as well. And then, yeah, I will also use them in my Hobonichi Cousin, because as I mentioned, I do love the paper and how it turns all crinkly and crunchy. Definitely not a drawing expert in any sense. Like, I am not confident with drawing at all. But yeah, I have plans. I have some aspirations, so to speak. Life shrinks or expands in proportion to one's courage. I'm a huge believer of that. Stepping out of the comfort zone is not always comfortable, obviously. Yeah, I feel like if you dare to be brave and do something scary and, you know, jump in anyway, the universe favors the bold. I really strongly believe that. I mean, in a lot of ways, I am very firmly planted in my comfort zone in many ways, or many aspects of my life, but I'm also really big on taking risks sometimes. Not necessarily risks, just doing things that are a little bit different if I feel the urge to do so. I'm not going to step out of my comfort zone, you know, if it's absolutely terrifying and there's no kind of, not reward, but like something in it where I am doing it solely for me, if that makes sense. But I do strongly believe that, yeah, doing something that requires a bit of courage is usually going to pay off in some way if that's what you're after. what was happening here? I love sleep. Yes, I do. Oh, I've been having some sort of broken sleep. It's purely because my sleep pattern, what is it called? Sleep biology? Sleep, I know the word, I can't think of it. The way I normally sleep has changed. I used to be a really solid sleeper. I could go to bed and not wake up, for 8 or 9 hours, like solid, not even waking up, in the middle of the night, just sleeping solid the whole time. And lately, that's not a thing. I'm waking up sort of after about 5 or 6 hours, which is fine. And I do go back to sleep. But as much as I am super grateful that I still get some sleep, I do miss my solid 8 hours. I just feel better. I just feel like I function better when I've had a good sleep. I know that everyone's different. I know of someone who manages quite well on 4 to 5 hours sleep, and I could not. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, on this day, I was just sort of making a note of how I had the best sleep and very grateful for the solid sleep. Trying to acknowledge that it's okay. And also, when my dog and my cat don't wake me up unintentionally, they don't mean to do it, but because now I'm sleeping, I'm a lighter sleeper now. I do wake up to the slightest move by either of them. So yeah, I did write here that I perhaps love Missy and Roger a tiny bit more when they don't wake me up. Again, it's not their fault. It's my fault. It's me. It's not me. It's not them. It's me. Filmed some videos for YouTube, which was really fun. My friend Zoe was in Japan. So here I was just talking about how I was following their location, which was so lovely. Got to see where they were hanging out. And they were actually visiting places that I'd been to, which I know in Japan is not hard to do, but Japan is also really big, as you know, as in there's just so much to see and so many different places to go. Anyway, they were going to a couple of places that I had actually recommended, and also they just happened to be there anyway. So it was really fun, seeing where they were, and obviously when they were posting on Instagram their train rides. It was so fun. Just some ephemera on this page, nothing to write. Didn't feel inspired to do anything more than this, and that is totally fine. The page still looks good to me. Is the universe flirting with me? Oh, on this day, I was on Instagram and I happened to see that Hobonichi, my favourite Japanese stationery brand, had posted that they were looking for staff to support them at events worldwide. I scanned the list of countries and jumped with joy to see Australia was on the list. So, needless to say, I did dig out my resume and see what happens. But I just really enjoyed the idea of, I guess, me putting it out there to the universe. I don't know how much you believe in this stuff, but yeah, just putting it out to the universe that I love anything to do with Japanese stationery. I live and breathe this stuff. Like, I'm constantly at my desk playing with Japanese stationery, and it makes up a huge part of my life because, it fills my journal, or journals, I should say. The prospect or even a glimmer of a hint that I could potentially have some kind of affiliation with Hobonichi was really, I don't know, like it was a really lovely thought. Not to say that I'm going to get a job with them, but the idea of that it could be possible definitely made me feel very excited. So that was that day. Yeah, is the universe flirting with me? I think so. This was a really productive day. I remember just feeling really happy on this day because I just got lots of the little errands, I guess, chores that you need to do. Mowed the lawn. I always feel really happy when I look outside in my backyard and my lawn is freshly mowed. It just looks so good. Did some editing, supermarket run, which I love. I'm not a huge fan of shopping apart from for stationery, of course, but I love going to the supermarket. I probably go to my local supermarket 2, maybe 3 times a week. Love it. I can just walk down aisles with my trolley and just be in my zone. Like it's almost like I enter a bit of a flow state. I don't know what it is, but I feel very comfortable there. I love it. Walked my dog at sunset, which I do every day. And also watched Perfect Days. If you haven't seen it, it is a very calming, wholesome movie. Very simple. And also it's set in Tokyo. So there's the added bonus of that. Having, Japan in your living room, so to speak, while you're watching it. And I also read my book in bed. I don't normally read my book in bed because I find I just nod off. But I have been trying, even if I just get through one chapter. and I found I can't lean back. I have to actually sit up in bed and read. But yeah, usually my eyes do start getting sleepy, which is fine, but I'm trying. On this day, I had a super productive day editing. I decided that if I knuckle down and get all my editing done in time, then I can have an entire week off next week, which would mean a whole week of journaling. That is motivation right there, to actually sit down and knuckle down and get my editing done. And I wrote, there's nothing like the promise of solid days in my journal to keep me motivated. But there's also nothing quite as satisfying as finishing and sending off a gallery to clients. So lovely. Went to the salon today. Always have really good chats with my hairdresser, Olwen. I actually managed to read a few chapters of my book without falling asleep. Because again, usually sitting in that chair and you're really comfortable, and then I'll read my book and start dozing off, which is fine. Ducked home for a quick lunch, and then I went to Kmart to buy some hand weights. I started working out, guys. More about that in a minute. It's only taken me about a year to get onto it. Like literally, I'm pretty sure this time last year I was thinking, I want to start working out. I finally got to the shops and bought some hand weights. And then spent the afternoon editing and had a girl dinner on the couch watching Bridgerton in the evening. That was nice. This was an all-round just happy day. Yeah, me just being confronted with the fact that summer is over. So yeah, I wrote here I was thinking we were still in summer, and then someone mentioned it was autumn, and my brain was like, huh? Oh yeah, it's March already. The funny thing was, pretty much from the 1st of March, I was opening my Animal Crossing every morning, and I noticed the weather had turned almost immediately. I'm pretty sure it was the 1st of March or around there. And suddenly the weather on my island was all gloomy and rainy. And I was like, why is the weather like this? So yeah, I wrote here, I'm not sure autumn in Perth is that extreme, but it kind of makes sense why the sudden change in weather on my island. And then I realised there's one good thing to come out of that. Soon my island will be covered in snow, which is so fun. Do you play Animal Crossing? I think I've been playing for, must be about 2.5 years, I think. And I think I just love it more and more. Like my island is fully finished. I still move things around and change areas up every now and again, but it's pretty much finished. I love it. I love it so much. I play every single morning after my coffee. I'm going to miss a spread there because it's just got some personal stuff on there, which is fine. I think I mentioned this in a previous video where I had been talking to some friends about how time goes really quickly, as you get older. And one of my friends mentioned that he'd read this theory that the reason we feel like time is going quicker as we get older is due to not creating as many new memories as an adult compared to when we're younger. So I went on a bit of a deep dive. Well, I just Googled this theory. It's called a memory content hypothesis. And the idea is that during childhood, we have many more new experiences and you're making more brand new memories, I guess. Whereas when we're well into adulthood, daily life naturally shifts towards routine and familiarity. And because the brain already knows what to expect, it stops actively encoding these memories due to being redundant everyday details to save processing energy. I find that so fascinating. As I was reading this article, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this all makes sense. It actually does make sense to me. So my theory is if I'm paying closer attention to sensory surroundings, engaging in hobbies and forcing the brain to encode little moments, this might just reduce the feeling of time slipping past too quickly. And what I mean by that is paying closer attention to sensory surroundings would be, when I'm walking my dog, walking on different path, speaking to different people, which I do frequently, and noticing different sights and sounds. So that would be paying closer attention to my surroundings in a sensory sense. Engaging in hobbies and forcing the brain to encode these little moments. So with journaling, that's exactly what we're doing. If I didn't document these little things, that day would have just come and gone. Whereas now looking at this, I remember that day specifically. I remember the little things that I did and the order I did them and what I had for dinner. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this sort of documenting these little, what would be mundane moments and tasks and things we do every single day or on, daily, is forcing the brain to encode those little moments. I don't know. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this? So anyway, I'm more than happy to not have time pass by too quickly. You know, it would be nice if time slows down sometimes. I mean, not when I'm having a rough time. When I'm having a rough time, please time fly past so I can get back to feeling good again. But on the average day when I'm just doing, you know, those lovely little calm, mundane but calm routine things, I think it might be nice to document them because then, yeah, like I said, I'm going to remember things like this. And these things are then going to create memories, even though they're small, almost insignificant, they're still memories. Does that make any sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense. Anyway, when my friend had mentioned this, it got me thinking, and then it wasn't immediately, it was like months later. I just Googled it. I was like, I need to read more about this because the sound of that theory made sense to me, but I wanted to actually read, you know, the scientific research behind it. Anyway, there you go. So on this day, I received a lovely letter from Laura, and I just wrote here about how I like that she pops in little notes in her letters. So this was just a little note telling me, it was explaining this print and, you know, where it came from and what it represented. So, which was lovely because then I actually looked up the book where this print comes from or where it's featured, and now I've got that book on my must-read list. So, you know, Laura teaching me things that I didn't know I needed in my life. Anyway, so I just wrote about that. This spread is just me sticker bombing. I have a lot of stickers, and obviously having a few pen pals now, they always so generously share stickers with me as well. And I don't want to be a sticker hoarder. I do often keep stickers because I don't want to use them, thinking, oh, I'm just going to save that for something else, but I'm trying to not do that. Anyway, so this was a day where I just had this spare spread and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to decorate it with a ton of stickers. I actually made a fun little reel with this while I was doing this as well. This spread I just covered in Japanese stationery ephemera. The ephemera from the packaging is just way too cute to throw out, so I keep it all. And again, at the risk of becoming a stationery packaging hoarder, I occasionally stick it in my journal. So that's what this was. I had a lot of fun with this. On this day, I actually did a little washi sample of all the washi tape that pen pals have sent me. Well, not all of it, but this is some of it. I find that I do use the washi tapes that people generously share with me, but I thought if I actually do a little swatching with them, it'll put them to the forefront of my mind, you know what I mean? And then I will remember that they exist. So that was fun. Girl, do what you want. Self-explanatory. On this day, this was the day I started to finally work out. So I went and bought the weights like I mentioned earlier, and I found a lady on YouTube who does short workout videos, like as short as 10 minutes, 20 minutes, there's 30-minute ones and so on. So I decided rather than dedicating 3 to 4 days a week where I do my little workouts, I'm just going to do one every day. So in the morning, I always go for a brisk 30-40-minute walk. And then I thought when I get home, I'll just do a workout. And it only has to be 10 minutes or 20, depending on how I'm feeling, but at the minimum 10 minutes each morning. The reason I decided to do this was because if I was going to pick days, like, you know, let's say I go, okay, I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I know what will happen is Monday morning, I'll be like, oh, I can't be bothered. After my walk, I just want to get showered and do something else. You know what I mean? So I figured if it was only going to be so many days of the week, I would just push those days back. And what would inevitably end up happening is it just falls off. So I just work out every day. And I think I've been working out for 2 months, or not quite, almost 2 months. And I think I've only missed 3 mornings. So I've done a workout, a 10 or 20-minute workout every single morning, except for those 3. And they were days that I had something on, and I'm not waking up early to work out. That is just not my style. But for 2 months, I've only missed the 3 days, which I think is, for me, is amazing. And I'm doing it that way so that it just becomes an ingrained habit. It's just something I do every morning, just like I go for my walk, no different to that. So that's been fun, and I do feel better for it, very much so. and just got my little bits of flip calendar pages. Me working out. So on this day I wrote 2 incredible weddings in one weekend. Oh, so yeah, I actually had weddings on both of these days. It was raining the whole weekend. In fact, I think we were expecting a cyclone. The cyclone didn't hit us, but it was raining those 2 days. It was fine. We still had fun at the weddings. We worked around it. No issues at all. But yeah, I wrote here 2 incredible weddings in one weekend, surrounded by lovely humans. I always meet really lovely people at weddings. Obviously the couple, their wedding crew, family, parents. I end up talking to a lot of people. And on this particular weekend, just the whole weekend was just, I think because it was 2 days, back to back, I just felt like I was surrounded by so many lovely humans. And also I really loved the people I was working with as well. I mean, I usually do, but sometimes if they're people I've worked with and I've already, got a personal relationship with outside of weddings as well, it's just nice hanging out with them for the day while we're working. And then Meg, who is a content creator that I was working with on the Saturday, took this photo of me. And I'm under a sign that says Peggy's. That's a sandwich place in Fremantle. If you live in Perth, highly recommend. I've been there a few times. The sandwiches are delightful. Anyway, that's me in my little wedding get up. I've got a tie on. I like to wear a tie sometimes. So black outfit and a pink tie. Not that you can really see. And got my cameras hanging over my shoulders. Anyway, I really liked the photo because one, I didn't know she was taking it. She was actually, I think there was a video of me walking and then I turned around and then yeah, she took a couple of photos and just thought that was cute. A photo of me on the job. The sun came out after 2 days of solid rain and I wrote, I was like Nicolas Cage as he steps off the jailbird to feel the wind in his hair. If you've watched Con Air, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Or you may have seen the photo, the image floating around on the internet of Nicolas Cage enjoying the sun on his face and the wind in his hair after stepping off this particular plane. And that was literally how I was feeling when I got up in the morning and saw the sun had come out. To be fair, I don't hate the rain. I mean, I don't want to have a week of rain, but I don't mind a couple of days of rain. Okay, this was the day when I had thought about potentially leaving my dog to sleep in the lounge room because usually she comes and sleeps in my room, not on my bed, but she has her own bed and she usually sleeps in there. She slept there since I've had her. And I had this idea, or someone suggested, why don't I leave her in the lounge room? Because often now that I'm a light sleeper, I'm waking up due to her flicking her head or scratching or cleaning herself or whatever. She doesn't do it all the time, but there'll be some point, usually early morning, where she starts moving around and that wakes me up. It didn't used to. I've gone by how long have I had Missy? 8 or 9 years of sleeping solid through all of that. However, because my sleep pattern has changed, I decided after someone suggested maybe I could leave her in the lounge room and shut my bedroom door, because in that way I wouldn't be getting woken up by her shuffling around. I felt really bad leaving her in the lounge room the first time, but to be fair, by the time I go to bed, she's well and truly snuggled in her bed. She's got her pajamas on. Well, now that it's colder, she's got pajamas on. She's got a weighted blanket that I put over her and tuck her in. She's out for the count. So usually when I am going to bed, I either drag her bed into my room or I force her to get up and move her. So I just left her in the lounge room and I just dimmed my lounge room lamp and left her there. And then I shut my bedroom door. The only other thought was that probably, my cat would scratch on the door in the morning because he doesn't always sleep in my room, but he will always come in and, when he hears me stirring or moving around, he will definitely come into the room and jump on my bed and, comes for a pat. So I did think that he would scratch on the door. However, when I woke up in the morning, surprisingly, after having an amazing sleep and not being woken up by pets, I opened the door and Roger was just sitting there, facing my door, just waiting for me. So he probably heard me moving around and then he came to greet me at my door, which was so lovely. So yeah, I did sleep a solid 8 hours, which was incredible. So now I do leave Missy in the lounge room every night. If she's awake before I head to the bedroom, I go down to her bed and give her a cuddle. And I explained to her that it's not you, it's me. But I'll see you in the morning. And she doesn't get up. She doesn't get up and try and follow me. So she's obviously fine with it. Missy is also a little bit lazy. So once she's comfortable in bed, she doesn't really want to get up. So it works out for the both of us. In the evening on this day, I spent my time journaling and watching Zoe's Japan haul video. If you are into Japanese stationery, you really need to check out Zoe's Japan trip haul videos. I think there are 2 up at the moment. I will put the link to Zoe's channel in the description for you. And then on the last day of March, I caught up with my friend Grace. We went to a cafe and we had long chin wags about books, words, art, and our craft. Always delightful catching up with a like-minded creative. Grace is a content creator and we worked on a wedding together recently, so it was really lovely catching up with her outside of our workplace, so to speak. So that's it for March. It was really fun flipping through all the pages to, I guess, kind of reminisce about things I had done for the month. Because, you know, when you look back like this, it's like, I actually got quite a bit done. As in, again, going back to the whole days just rolling into weeks, rolling into a month has passed. And, you know, I don't know, I can't believe we're already in the middle of May right now. I feel like Christmas was just a few weeks ago. So it is nice to kind of reflect, I think, back over the very simple, very quiet, very calm days. There are busy days in there as well, but overall it's just nice to look back at the little moments, I think. Thank you so much for stopping by, and if you are still here an hour later, thank you very much for hanging out with me. Say hello in the comments if you feel so inclined. Let me know how your journal's going. I think I'm going to do a kind of like a Techo Kaigi, talk about how my journals are going for the first 3 months of the year. I am using all of the journals that I set out at the start of the year. I'm using them exactly how I thought I would. I haven't changed anything at all, and I'm loving them. I'm loving my Traveler's Notebook, my Hobonichi Cousin, and my Hobonichi Weeks. So I might do a little, I guess, kind of like a catch up on my journal lineup and how it's going for the first 3 months. Maybe I'll do that next. What do you think? Again, so great to have you here. Thank you for offering me this space to chat about my journals and Japanese stationery and all the other things that I enjoy. And I hope you are having a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye.